Welcome back to Studio F, where on Fast Times with Willy B, we'll be talking about Night Swim. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell!
Welcome back to Fast Times with Willy B. I'm Willy B. I got Kory with me again today. Kory, how we feeling?
Feeling all right, buddy.
Feeling all right. Today we're going to cover Night Swim.
Yeah.
First film of 2024. I think we can both agree not the best first step of 2024.
I wouldn't even say it's a good step.
As you mentioned, we're in the strike zone.
We are in the strike zone.
A lot of the movies coming out over the next couple of months are going to be strike movies, pushed back. Some good ones will be the ones that are pushed back. Like we got Dune coming, obviously, but it's going to be slim pickings, I feel like, for the first couple of months of 2024.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then we'll get a good movie that should have came out last year. That'll just be kind of dispersed somewhere here and there. But other than that, I mean, we're bottom of the barrel for this year, for sure. Yeah, but we're happy to be here, new year.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
For sure.
Yeah.
So let's hop into Night Swim, directed by Bryce McGuire. He did the short Night Swim back in 2014, 4 minutes long. I actually haven't seen the short. Kind of want to watch it after seeing this movie. But so he gets to adapt his short movie into a feature film, which is really cool. Kudos to him.
I have a theory that short film is the intro to this movie.
It might be.
Right?
It might be like different, actors, actresses, obviously, but
and they definitely they adapt things to a movie. So obviously, some things get improved.
I could
bigger
see
budget,
that.
but,
I could see that for sure.
Maybe, right?
We got two bigger names. Two, I wouldn't say big names, but known names, and
two
that's
known names.
Wyatt Russell and Kory Condon. Wyatt Russell, obviously, his 22 Jump Street, but a lot of people know him from The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
and then Kory Condon, her big movie is Banshees of Inisherin. She's also in the MCU. We found that out today. She's the voice of Friday.
Yeah, I did not know that. Yeah.
So we got two MCU actors leading the way in this film.
Yes,
but
we do.
Let's start with the good.
Okay, yeah.
It might be a shorter segment, but let's start with it. And I think the best way to start is the introduction. I
Sure.
thought this movie hit the ground running really well.
I know, because me and you looked at each other at least twice to kind of give this might be pretty good.
Yeah. So it starts in 92, and we see the first pool kill. I really like the shots in this introduction scene. It almost felt like Jaws in a swimming pool because they're so zoomed in that you don't see the outside, and the way she's being pulled under the water kind of felt like the opening scene in Jaws.
That's true. And honestly, there's a scene later where they do that camera technique where you zoom. I think you zoom out while maybe you zoom in. You zoom in while you pull the camera out.
Yeah.
And they do that to Wyatt Russell, and it's supposed to give this feeling of almost dizziness or something like that. And then I know they do that in Jaws with, I think it's the police commissioner or the lifeguard or somebody like that whenever they know an attack's about to happen.
Yeah.
So there might be some intentional Jaws nods here.
I mean, you've got water and mishap. You might as well pay homage to the best that's done it with water and mishap.
Water and mishap.
I mean, that's all you can really say, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, and that's all I could say. I've only seen the first 15 minutes.
That's fair. But, it has that Jaws feel to it for a swimming pool movie. I thought some of the pool sequences early on were really cool. A lot of good jump scares with the shadowy figures.
Agreed.
Through the first act and a half, I was like, this could be a pretty good start to 2024.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, for sure.
But I mean, there's not much more else to say with the good. I thought the introduction, the background stories were decent. I wouldn't say they're bad or bad. They were well put together. It was written well.
There's definitely some standard, some horrible things happened to people at this house, and then you go backtrack and ask, the previous owners what happened and whatever. That's kind of standard, Insidious, The Conjuring.
For sure.
Anything haunted, they're going to go ask somebody what happened there previously, so... Some tropey stuff.
Performances were good. I didn't have any gripes with the performances. I thought, there was some line issues, delivery wise. I thought maybe it was more the writing than it was the characters. But with what they were given, I thought they did a good job.
Yeah. I see. I've always had this opinion. For some reason, I'm a pretty big Wyatt Russell fan. I don't know why. I saw him in 22 Jump Street, and then I saw him in Goon 2 for some reason.
Goon 2?
I don't remember a single thing about that movie, really.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I've always been kind of a fan of him. But at the same time, on the other hand, I've always thought he wasn't that great at the same time.
I think definitely, he definitely gets roles based on. Because he's not, the biggest name.
No,
he definitely gets some of these roles when it comes to nepotism, for sure.
He's a bit of a nepotism baby. And again, like I said, I do like him. I like seeing him in things. I want to see him in more things. I think the line that I draw with him is I think he does better as more heel characters. And I thought that even later on in the film, whenever he turns heel for a reason we'll get into, I think he did better doing that than being a lovable father.
Yeah.
And I think, as a U.S. agent, I think he was perfect for that because he's the handsome, charming, he's Kurt Russell's son. He's handsome, he's charming, and, he kind of has like a genuineness about him. But at the same time, there's something off about that guy. He always seems kind of creepy. He always seems kind of like... even in 22 Jump Street, he has a scene or two where he kind of takes like a strange turn.
A sinister turn, yeah.
And for U.S. Agent, that's perfect because it's Captain America turned on his head. Yeah. So I think he does better with those roles than being a nice guy.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
I could agree with that because I think his best was when he was, possessed. Mm. And actually one of my biggest gripes was right after he became unpossessed, which we'll get into.
Yes, me too.
But... all around, I thought the children were good.
I thought the children were actually really good. Really good.
Yeah, there was only one performance I wasn't a fan of. I don't even know the actress's name, but it was the real estate agent. I thought she was awful, but...
yeah, I didn't think she was very good either. Whenever she's trying to do that, like, I don't want to tell you what happened to this house in the past, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of her, and her dialogue when they first moved in was a little crunchy too, but...
Sure.
That's not on her as much as it is the writing, but her delivery wasn't great. But keeping with the good, there's, it was shot well. Like,
I agree.
You could tell that Maguire, loved this story. It just may not have been the strongest story.
Sure. Yeah, see, the biggest thing that I have to praise about this film is I do think it actually was, even though it wasn't, I don't even know if I even really liked it. Mm-hmm. But I also thought it was directed pretty strongly.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, as far as, a lot of the horror scenes I thought were pretty terrific. Yeah. There was a scene or two where it was like they should have left things a little more ambiguous and obscured.
For sure. I agree with that.
There were some, like, the first time you see one of the dead people behind the daughter or whatever, I thought it just looked like a weird, creepy creature from the Black Lagoon, like ripoff. Mm. And I think that, and I hate to, I feel bad for not even bringing up this department enough, but I feel like that might have been a makeup thing. Yeah. I don't think the makeup for the dead people was on point. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
That's actually a good transition. We'll hop over to the man. We'll start with the makeup. I like you said, it wasn't horrible. It was best when it was left for you to kind of, you get the figure and you get to create what it looks like.
Exactly. Those are the best parts. And then also there's a part where you see one of those figures in the pool filter. Yeah. Like hiding behind and that actually scared the shit out of me.
That was the best looking one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was like, is this supposed to be like the bad guy of the thing? Maybe it was. I don't know. I couldn't tell if we saw him later or not. But it seemed like that was the most sinister version of that.
That, when it was looking through the pool filter and you see like glimpses of it gave me Grudge vibes.
That it actually creeped me out, which doesn't happen often. As an adult, jump scares can get you. It's a surprise. Everybody can be surprised. Yeah. But actually being creeped out by the look of something you can see. Again, a strong point. Directing, cinematography. That was a terrific idea. Yeah. I forgot to say that I thought the camera work was really good too. The part where the mom was swimming in the pool and you would pan down and pan over, pan down, pan over, like she's taking her breaths. I thought that was a good point.
A lot of the technical stuff was in the good. Yeah. Like,
but even the sound, I thought the music was actually pretty good. I thought it had good points.
It was just more story writing, stuff like that. And for the I would even say the premise of the movie, like a haunted pool, isn't the most intriguing premise.
No.
Going into this one, like I said, this has the feel of a movie that can either be really good and surprise you, or a movie that could be really bad because it is a weird premise.
Yeah.
I actually think it fell more in the middle of that, but...
Yeah, which, funnily enough, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, but the premise, it just... At the beginning, you watch a trailer and you're like, I'm going to go see it. Mm-hmm. It's Blumhouse.
Yeah. It
has a chance of being good, but
it's about a haunted pool. What does that look like?
But it's a haunted swimming pool, and I thought that from the premise, my hopes weren't high.
Yeah, I think me personally, seeing so many movies, and especially horror movies, man, a lot of this stuff gets samey. Like serial killers, all that kind of stuff. And in a lot of ways, it can be endearing. Like Thanksgiving felt like a really nice homage to Halloween, and it didn't bother me. Mm-hmm. But other movies, it's like you do a regular stalker film. It's like I've seen this 100 times.
Yeah.
So I think I tend to gravitate towards the weirder premises.
Yeah.
But again, it's a risk. It can be great,
or
it can be horrible.
There's movies with weird premises I love. I mean, I would say Season of the Witch is a very odd premise, but
that's an insanely weird premise for that movie.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Sure.
It's just a haunted swimming pool was kind of like, we're running out of ideas. What do we got? What if we made a swimming pool kill people? Like
that definitely, it definitely felt like a what haven't we done?
Yeah.
Haunted swimming pool, and then it felt like somebody gave somebody a pen and paper.
It felt like you were watching. You Should Leave with Tim Robinson or whatever. And
I think you should leave. Yeah,
I think you should leave, and they were having it's a movie meeting. Tim Robinson's throwing out these ideas on that swimming pool. Like
Absolutely.
What did he say? I don't know. That's almost what it felt like.
It felt like just kind of throwing things at the wall. There's a really funny skit. I don't know if you've seen it, where it was it's a skit about the directors of Gremlins 2 and trying to figure out what they're gonna do. And it's supposed to be just a bunch of guys in a board meeting, just like, have we done a Batman bat? It's Key and Peele. Yeah, that's who it is. And it's like, we haven't done a Batman bat. Let's do that.
Watch Gremlins 2.
I have your copy of Gremlins 2 still.
It's insane, but it's so much fun. But we're getting off topic.
I know.
Continuing with the meh, I would throw the baseball practice in here just because I thought it was really, really cringy.
It had its cringy moments for sure.
You want to take a try?
Yeah, that was, and also the other thing too is I get he's kind of washed out because of him getting MS, which is quite sad, and so because of that, he really invites the autographs. He invites the he likes to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
But there has to be a line of people going, you want to hit one at a kid's baseball practice where you go, no.
Yeah.
Because there's middle schoolers here hitting these balls.
Yeah. Fielding is. What if he hit like you saw how fast the ball came off the bat for a home run? What if that was a line drive at the first baseman?
Yeah.
And I know it's a movie, like that's not gonna happen, but like in real life, what if this dude just the first baseman in 7th grade took one off the chin from a major leaguer?
Yeah.
That would kill him.
And not to mention, like, the pitching was, like you said, it was quite slow. He was getting pitched at like he was a toddler. It's not very impressive when you hit a baseball that hard when you're a major leaguer getting fucking underhand tossed from a dad.
Yeah.
It's not
getting
as
some BP from from the dad that said, fine, I'll do it.
Exactly. It's not as impressive. And also it's like, I'm not a dad. I don't know what this feels like, but I probably wouldn't take the show away from my son, who luckily, because he apparently sucks so bad, who luckily even hit the ball to begin with.
Yeah. I don't.
Kind of a bad, and that's the other thing. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I just don't buy the dad thing. I don't think he's a good dad. I know that's the point, but something about it I just couldn't buy. I really, really, really bought into Kory King as the mom, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Kory King, both movies I've seen her in, has been a great supporting character.
Right.
Do you have anything else for the meh?
For the meh, I mean, okay, I do have something. So the part that we were talking about earlier, where Kory King's character goes to the previous owner to be like, well, what happened here previously?
Yeah.
That scene started off really good. I actually liked the idea that the lady was not bringing up her daughter or didn't remember her or whatever. And then it kind of got drug out a little bit where I was like, this is kind of starting to lose its pizzazz. But I was kind of reinvested whenever she started to have the pool tears come out of her eyes. And I was like, oh my God, that's terrific. Mm-hmm. And then she started doing this acting of like, the pool's gonna get you or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just, I lost interest pretty instantly. Yeah. I don't know if it was, it might have been the actress. I don't know. It didn't hit. It didn't hit. I thought it was going to. That's the reason I'm bringing it up. And it was kind of a disappointment. Yeah. It kind of had a strong point. But
for me, the final meh I have is the chicken fight in the pool where Wyatt Russell's character holds on to the kid too long. And
I have that in the bad.
Well, the reason I have this in the meh is because that's where it starts to get bad for me.
Yes,
that was almost the cliff.
That was definitely a point that I started to realize, I'm like, this isn't going to be what I thought it was it? Because even the part with Kory King where she's swimming by herself and things like that, and there's always that period, which I actually was thinking this in the movie theater. I'm getting sick of the same format of you have a kill in the beginning and the family moves out or whatever, and then it's boring scenes of people moving into a house for the first time. Especially haunting movies. It's always somebody dies at the beginning, and then it's the new family moving in, and we have to wait a hot minute before things start to get cooking again.
Well, that's why I liked...
Hit the ground running, please.
That's why I liked what Evil Dead did.
Yes!
That incredible take, and you kind of feel like it's going to be the same thing. These people move out here after that just happened. No, like, it finds its way. That it was unique.
It's pretty instant.
Yeah.
And even, there is a small period where you do have to have a period of understanding the family dynamic before the thing happens.
Yeah.
You do have to do that, but a lot of movies do it way too long. You have to find some way to compress all this stuff, because we don't need to see that much of it.
For sure. Let's hop over to the bad, because this is where it fell off. I actually have the scene when she goes back to Rebecca's mom in the bad. I hated the pool crying. I hated her.
Okay. Okay.
I just hated everything about that scene. That's where I felt like it got really cringy. Where the writing kind of fell off for me.
Like I said, I liked parts of that scene. I did like the pool tears thing.
I didn't.
The only part I didn't like was the throwing up the pool stuff. And not because I was grossed out, but because I'm like, yeah, I know. I've seen it. I've seen Evil Dead. I've seen everything. You're always throwing up evil. I've seen it 100 times. Whatever. But yeah. Anyway, what else do you have for the bad?
There's a lot of feasibility issues. There's a lot of
there is
unrealistic things that happen in this film. I don't know, holding your breath underwater for 10 minutes.
And then, they do make a point to say, whenever the daughter gets dragged to water hell or whatever, and she comes back up, and her boyfriend's like, hey, you were down there for only a few seconds. So I think it's supposed to be a mental thing, but that isn't explained very well, is it?
Yeah.
Nah, and then also he just kind of... God, I'm sorry, I thought of something else that I really hate now. So... The only other time you see that kid, because there's a whole thing about how the daughter might do this swimming thing, you never hear another thing about it after this kid has this little,
He doesn't even show up to the pool party.
Yes, he does.
Does he?
Because remember, she's sitting on the ledge and her two friends come up and she's like, I kissed him. And this scene was cringy. And the girls are like, no, he didn't. Shut up. It's not that unbelievable that a high school boy kissed a high school girl.
Yeah.
And then he swims up and is like, you going to swim with us? And she goes, no, I'm good. And then he goes, okay, well, I'll be back. We never see him again.
Yeah.
That's an odd place to not see him again.
Yeah.
Where's the payoff for the swim thing? Why even bring that up? Is it because she has a pool and because it's haunted?
I think it was more for the Marco Polo scene at this point.
Probably, but at that point, just have a kid go up and go, hey, you're the new kid and you're cute. I'd like to hang out.
The Marco Polo scene might be one of my favorite scenes from the movie.
Yeah.
And I hate when they do that.
The Marco Polo thing?
No. When they make the best scene in the movie the teaser. So then the rest of the movie is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Which I get if you have a movie that only has one good scene.
The intro.
No, I'm saying, but Napoleon for me was that. They showed that entire scene on the ice.
Oh, yes.
As the teaser, and that was the best scene in the movie.
Well, that's a big problem I have with Hollywood in general, because even my favorite movie is The Batman.
Yeah.
That movie has 3 whole trailers that has most of the best stuff in it.
Yeah.
And to this day, I'm excited for part 2. But I'm like,
trailers.
But in trailers in general, they need to stop putting some of the things they put in.
I get taking 5 seconds of something that's awesome, but for teasers... When you put the whole scene out there, and that ends up being the best scene in the movie, I don't like that. But
yeah, you can put dashes of things in there.
Yeah.
But especially if you put a dash of every part of the movie in it, and there's a certain amount of, if you recognize even something about every scene, something about it feels like you've already seen it or you already know what's going to happen or whatever. So that is a problem in Hollywood. And also, this is a small thing, but this isn't even a bad thing. I'm just wondering, why are we so obsessed with saying Marco Polo? In a weird way, it just hit me while I was watching this movie. That's like if I died, and my way of being immortalized is people say Kory, and then people yell King, on the other side of the pool. It's kind of a strange thing. Anyway, that's a side note.
I think it's more strange that the premise of the movie, again, based on wishing well, throwing coins, and this family is just throwing coins in the water. Which
what
apparently,
a coincidence.
According to Rosie, is a normal thing to do.
I've
swam a bunch at my aunt and uncle's pool. We've never thrown quarters in the pool and said, go fetch them. That's why they make these weird things called pool toys.
And I'm also like, and I like the idea that the family cements over it. First of all, saw that coming or putting dirt in it or whatever.
Yeah.
And them being like, okay, we're going to stay at this house to make sure nobody comes here ever again or whatever. But the pool, when it's possessing Wyatt Russell, goes out of its way to be like, we'll be here for, the next family or whatever. What if they don't play frickin' hide and go seek with the coins or whatever?
Yeah.
Then you're out of luck, I guess. And also, what if they don't wish for anything? They just go, I hope I get this fucking coin. And then they go get the coin. Does somebody have to die because they found the coin?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, if the premise is, what if one family just decided not to throw coins like a normal family?
And again, even if they do, what if they don't make a wish?
I know. But
they didn't define that premise very well either, which it's time to talk about that scene whenever Wyatt Russell sacrifices himself, which I don't have a problem with the fact that he sacrificed himself to save his son, but it's the fact that one time the daughter, whenever he starts walking in the pool, the daughter goes, Dad, and he goes, don't look back. And she maybe yells Dad again, I don't know. But as soon as you see him get swallowed up by the pool, it cuts to the family and they just pick up the son and walk him in the house.
So before we hop into that, I have one more thing to say because we can dive into the ending. But the dad didn't go to his daughter's childbirth for a baseball game, which, as a huge baseball fan, is very unrealistic because there's 162 games. Unless that was a playoff game, you're skipping that game.
You can miss that game.
Yeah.
Even if it is a playoff game, skip it.
I don't know, man.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Playoffs are different.
I mean, even... fair enough. Whatever.
Regular season, there's 162 games. You'll be at the next one.
I mean, I guess... See, but now you just gave the director a reason to justify what he did.
Yeah, but it wasn't a playoff game. Anyways.
That was weird. And also...
He would have been more excited, been like, it's bottom of the ninth, playoff. Like, he didn't mention it. Like, nobody just tells a story that exciting, and it doesn't mention playoffs if it's not the playoffs.
That's true. That's a good point. Why? Yeah, he would have said that.
Yeah, and it was like bottom of the ninth, and I hit one in the bay, and I knew you were strong.
And
and I was like, you missed her childbirth to hit one in the bay.
I did like that later. It comes back around where the mom was like, "Yeah, I was alone."
Yeah,
and she doesn't specifically call out the dad, but she probably should have been like, "Your father left me in the hospital."
Yeah, for a regular
season game.
Wasn't even.
You'll never
playoffs.
get over that. You have to throw out season game every time.
But let's hop into the ending. So the ending was rough. My biggest gripe here, we talked about the dialogue issues, and right here is when Wyatt Russell goes after they get him out of the pool. Is he okay? Like, so bland.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The good dad things are the parts I don't think he can do.
Yeah, the ending was rough.
And then he goes, "Oh my God, I am so sorry."
Yeah.
That's like all he says. You just about murdered your daughter.
For sure.
For about 5 minutes. And then also when he goes off to kill himself, his family doesn't seem that concerned about it.
Yeah.
Even later on, whenever they're watching the pool get filled with dirt, they don't seem to care that much.
No. Lacking emotional strength, for sure.
Definitely.
If this movie had more emotion to it, I probably would have cried in a scene like that. But it just, you felt like these three were the family, and he was just there to play the role of a father.
That's what I'm saying. He not a believable father performance.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention, and also some of that may not have even been his fault. It could have been a directing thing. It could have been anything. And then also the strongest, emotional moment I think was her saying, "Hey, I was left alone in the hospital."
Yeah.
And she says, "As long as we all stick together, yada yada yada." And the father dies, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
That is not sticking together.
Yeah.
And again, I would totally understand if it was like the son, one person stays with the son, the other person like goes to look for the dad. They didn't even look at the pool.
Yeah.
I know he said don't look. That's your dad. You maybe want to yell for him at least.
Yeah. And then the video ends up working out as a goodbye. I don't know.
That didn't make any sense either.
A lot of things.
He said, sorry.
It makes me work out better. And then all of a sudden it's a goodbye video to his kids.
And also they don't really establish if this is modern day or not. Because a lot of the videos of him playing and stuff are like in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Because it's on VHS. And even I noticed but they had iPhones and stuff.
I mean, he mentioned a few baseball players. It sounds like it would be like late 2000s, early 2010s.
Okay, so I was maybe in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Maybe it was an early generation iPhone stuff.
But
I think that probably just didn't think about it that hard. But also, with that whole thing, he goes out of his way to say, I was never good at the emotional stuff. I was always better at playing baseball. And I don't know what to do about this, so I'm just doing this. Swear to God, I thought whenever he was doing that whole thing, I thought he was just going to throw a baseball in the air and hit it. And I thought that was going to be him saying, I love you. And then he was just going to turn it off. I could not tell what that scene was supposed to be. They drove the baseball
plot hard.
Yeah, and that last scene doesn't work at all because it doesn't make any sense.
Not at all.
Did you also get that sense that he was going to do something with a baseball bat or something? Because he was like, this is the only way I know how to say I love you.
When that video started, I was ready for the credits to roll.
Yeah, to be honest, this was one of those movies. And this is, I don't want to say it's rare. You know, there's a lot of times where I'm even watching a good movie and I'm like, I think I'm about ready to just not be sitting in this dark theater for a second. Sure. Yeah. But this was one where I was like, I actually want this to be over.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it, like, still, I don't, you know, that doesn't, like, make me mad, like, oh, I just wasted my time. But it's like, man, I can't wait to be out of this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
And then the last thing I want to talk about is that pool party. Because that you know, that part where they're chicken fighting or whatever, you know, that's just weird.
Yeah.
He calls him Bald Shrek or something like that, Steroid
Shrek, and then he plays chicken fight with someone that's not his kid.
With someone that's not his kid when his dad's, like, over there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I get it's cool for the kid, and it could have been a cool moment of, like, wow, I'm getting to chicken fight with my hero or whatever. But it's the fact that he walks to the other side of the pool. They just chicken fighted, by the way. And it wasn't like anybody wasn't watching. Like, people were watching the chicken fight.
Yeah.
And then he starts walking to the deep end of the pool, and the kid's flailing his arms and screaming, and nobody's even batting an eye.
The kid upstairs with the camera caught him.
Yeah, that was the other thing. He looks at the camera and goes, oh, shit. And he runs downstairs. He's like, Mom. And I was like, watching this in a big IMAX theater, I could not have seen what you just saw on a tiny camera.
Yeah.
And also, God, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And he's like, that must be my dad drowning that kid I played baseball with.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. They talk about how the kid is like, he's not good at making friends. He's not very good at baseball. And it shows like a glimmer of him maybe becoming friends with that kid because, you know, whatever. And then again, after that pool scene, you don't see the fallout from that. You just get the lady yelling at Carrie Condon, stay away from our family.
Yeah. There's a lot of
the
character development's very weak in this film, and there's a lot of like unfinished stories, a lot of unfinished business.
And also there was I knew it from the second we saw that part where, you know, they do the moms that says swing away or whatever. I knew that was going to come back around in the movie. You know why? Because that reminded me exactly of A Quiet Place Part 2. Have you seen that?
No, I've only seen the first one.
Okay, well, I don't want to spoil that. I probably just kind of spoiled the part 2, but there's a scene where somebody.
I will catch it before the prequel comes out. Though, so.
Yeah. There where somebody teaches somebody a hand motion, and you know, and as soon as you see it, you're like, well, obviously that's going to come full circle later.
Yeah.
Because it's somebody knowing a specific thing.
Yeah.
There's got to have purpose in it. So I knew I didn't know the context because I'm like, it's a movie about swimming, and swing away. That's like a line from Signs.
Yeah.
Which also kind of weirded me out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just kind of tropey, kind of predictable. Had really good, strong directing parts in it. But all in all, I think you can probably skip this one.
Yeah, it fell flat. Let's hop over to rating and final thoughts. What do you want to leave this movie with, and what's your rating out of 10?
I mean, in general, like I didn't have a bad time watching it. I don't feel like my time was wasted. It wasn't that long of a movie, you know, and I'm glad I saw it. Just in general, it was just kind of disappointing because the intro told me how much potential the movie could have had.
Yeah.
And it didn't live up to that. So I think because of that, it's not an utter failure, it's an utter disappointment.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave it at a 5 out of 10 because there were very strong moments and very weak moments at the same time. I kind of can't tell where to place it, and putting it right in the middle is just where it's going to have to be.
Yeah. For me, I'm in the same boat. I had a lot of fun with, you know, the first hour. Not even, probably the first 45 minutes. But
yeah.
once it hit that cliff for me, it fell off. I was sitting in the theater. I was like, this kind of feels like it could be a 7 or an 8, in the first act. And once it falls off, it really does. I'm going to go 5 out of 10 as well. I was between a 4 and a 5.
So was I.
I wouldn't say it's, like you said, a 4 for me is bad, and I wouldn't say it's completely bad. I would say it's okay.
Yeah, I would say it's aggressively okay.
And the funny part is we both, kind of had that feeling if it was going to be either really bad or really good, and it fell in the middle for both of us.
I can tell we had the exact same journey because whenever we looked at each other for the good things, I felt what you were feeling. But when we looked at each other for the bad things, I really knew that you were feeling the exact same way about it. So
I was like, this could be a 2 or this could be an 8, and it's a 5.
I know. I was sitting there in the movie theater, and I swear it would hit a certain moment where I'd go, this is probably going up to like a 6. This moment's good. And I'd go, this might be a 4.
Yeah.
And then something else would happen, and I'd go, I will give you a 5. I juggled this movie around in my head, and I try not to do that with movies that we don't do for the podcast or for Movie Mag, but considering we're doing it for both, I kind of have to be cognitive of where I think this movie is because I do forget.
For sure.
So, yeah. But roller coaster, but, if you're bored, 2024 is going to suck, so maybe you should watch it. I don't know.
Yeah. Check out the first movie of the year, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, that does it for Night Swim. Thank you, Kory, for coming on.
Absolutely, my friend.
It's always a pleasure having you.
Pleasure being here.
Let me know what you guys think of the movie Night Swim, if you hated it, if you loved it, or if you're right in the middle just like we are. Let me know in the comments below. Check out other videos if you have nothing else to do. Subscribe to the channel if you like what you're watching. Social links in the description below. Hit the follow button on those as well. We thank you all for watching once again, and we will talk to you all soon.
Bye.
Peace.